Hello, welcome to your yoga class. My name is MARIAAA, and today I will be guiding you through a Vinyasa Yoga Flow that will be pretty quick, but we'll try to include a little bit of a warm-up, some fast-moving Vinyasa flows in the middle, and then we'll end with a Savasana at the end. We won't need any props today, but if you have a water bottle around or if you have a block around, that might be helpful today. We're going to get into some triangle poses and some low lunges, so they might be helpful if you have that. Otherwise, bring whatever else you want to bring onto your mat. We're going to begin in a child's pose. So coming onto your hands and knees, spread your knees wide to either side of the mat. Start to sink your hips towards your heels and walk your hands towards the front of the mat. Gently start to melt your head and your chest towards the earth, but they don't have to touch. And find a moment to connect with your breath. This Vinyasa flow is going to ask us to return to our breath and connect with our breath frequently, trying to pair each movement with breath. So before we begin, we're just going to take a few moments to connect with our breath so we know what that feels like. Inhale into your low belly and exhale to sink your heart space towards the earth a little bit more. Relax. Soften your forehead, soften your jaw. And notice anywhere where you might be clenching in your body. One more big inhale together. And exhale, push yourself up, coming onto your hands and knees again. Hands directly underneath your shoulders, knees directly underneath your hips. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, send it through your arms, broaden the collarbones. Inhale, cow pose. And then on your exhale, try to extend your tailbone towards that space between your knees, tuck your chin, cat pose. Inhale, drop your chest, send your collarbones forward. Exhale, chin to chest, round through the upper back. Feel that back of the neck stretching. Inhale, send the heart space forward, lift the chin, push away from the mat, and pull the shoulders away from the ears. And exhale, cat pose, round through the chin, send the navel up towards the sky, tailbone aims down. A couple more times with your own breath. Feel free to find whatever movement you choose to here. So option 2, maybe circle the hips as you do the cat-cow, or maybe hold it for an extra breath. But keep moving with your own breath. One more big inhale, cow pose, and then exhale to just return to neutral. Ground down through that left hand, press the left palm, all 5 of the left knuckles into the mat, and also ground down through that right back foot. So we're going to start by sending the left toes back towards the back of the room, stretching out through that back leg, maybe bringing some activation into it. And then on your next exhale, you're going to lift that heel, bring it up to as far as your waist. So maybe look back to see that it's in line with your hips. And stay here for another breath. Exhale, bring the toes back down to the ground. On your next inhale, you'll push away from the mat. And then exhale, this time lift your arm, or option to leave your hand on the ground. And then lift your heel. Big inhale and exhale. And then release, bring both onto the ground. One more time, whatever variation you want, you're going to bring that left heel up, extend the right arm out, or one or the other, leave the heel down or leave the arm down. And then exhale, return back to tabletop position. Maybe lift that left arm if it got a little bit tired and shake it out. On your next inhale, you're going to send that right leg, right toes towards the back of the mat, and then just rock back and forth, stretching out through the back of the right leg. Keep breathing here. Ground down through the right knuckles, so the right hand, right palm presses into the mat, pressing down especially through that pointer finger, knuckle, and thumb to protect your wrists here. And then On your one more big inhale, and then exhale, lift that right heel to bring it in line with the hips. Stay here for one full breath cycle. And then on your next exhale, drop the toes to the ground. Good. From here, you have the option to lift your left arm alongside your heel. Maybe play around with both of those, see what it feels like. Big inhale and exhale to maybe squeeze your right glute to lift that right heel. And then option to maybe lift that left arm, send it straight forward. Inhale, tuck the chin just a little bit, and then exhale back down to the ground. Toes touch the ground, hand comes back down. And then one more, we're going to inhale and then exhale, lift, whatever variation you want to choose here. Inhale and exhale back down to the ground. So good. Come off of your hands, maybe roll your wrist out a little bit. Gentle circles. And if this is getting to be too much for you, don't worry, we're not going to be on our wrist for too much longer. So from here, feel free to skip the down dog and just meet us when we're standing up. But from here, when you're ready, you're going to come back to a tabletop position, plant your hands on the ground, rotate your inner elbows towards the front of the room, tuck the toes under, inhale, lift the knees, stay here for the exhale, one more inhale, and then on your next exhale, send the hips up high to the sky, slowly make your way up to downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet here. If this is your first time coming into down dog today or your first time doing yoga, otherwise find your footing and then come to stillness. Feet can be hip width apart or they can be together. They can even be slightly wider than hip width, whatever feels comfortable for you. Send your tailbone up towards the sky and send your heels energetically towards the earth, but they can be off of the floor. Bend your knees here, even a slight bend. Push away from the mat with your knuckles. Ears are in between your arms, maybe by your biceps. One more big inhale here. And exhale to slowly make your way up, maybe hop or jump or tiptoe your feet up to meet the backs of your hands. Release your head to the ground. The crown of the head reaches towards the earth. Option to grab opposite elbows here for ragdoll and maybe finding a gentle swing from side to side. Returning to your breath here, stacking your knees over your feet and your hips over your heels or your ankles. So knees can be bent here, but imagine a wall behind you where your hips and your heels are touching up against it. So push down into the base of the feet, pressing down into all four corners of the feet evenly. One more inhale and exhale. On your next inhale, lift your arms up to your shins or to your thighs. Pull your shoulders away from your ears, half lift. Torso lifts up. Tuck your chin just slightly to lengthen through the back of the neck. I'm going to extend the crown of the head towards the front of the mat. One more inhale here. Breathe into your low belly. Fill up all four sides of your torso. And exhale to forward fold, hinging at the hips. Bending your knees here and relaxing the weight of your head to the earth. Plant your hands and step both feet back towards the back of the mat. Inhale. Option to take a vinyasa here. So option to drop your knees onto the ground or shift forward onto your toes and then lower slowly all the way down to the ground. Elbows graze your ribs. Inhale, baby cobra. Little to no weight in your hands. Lift your chest. Keep your chin tucked just slightly. And then exhale, forehead to the ground. On your next inhale, push back up to tabletop position. Tuck the toes under. And then lift your hips for downward facing dog. Bend your knees. On your next inhale, ground down through that left foot, the left ball of the foot, and then exhale to lift the right heel up towards the sky. Bend that right knee, and option to find some organic movement here, maybe some knee circles around one way and then the other, but just opening up the hips here, maybe stacking the hips, the right on top of the left, whatever feels good. And then when you're ready, level out your hips so that they are parallel like headlights pointing towards the mat. Right foot points down, heel is reaching up towards the sky. Inhale, push away from the mat with your hands. And then exhale, bend your knee, bend your right knee and bring it in towards your chest. Drop your knee, drop your foot in between your hands, right knee on top of the right ankle. Push that left thigh up and sink your hips down. Your leg does not have to be parallel to the ground, so wherever you are here, bring your hands onto your hips, and on the inhale, lift your chest, rise up. Crown of the head reaches up towards the sky, and exhale to maybe sink your hips a little lower. On the inhale, lift your arms, and then pivot on that back foot to open up towards the left side of your mat. So your back left foot is parallel with the back side of the mat, toes are pointing towards the long side. Your right leg is still pointing towards the short side of your mat. Bend into that right knee, coming into Warrior 3. Extend your right arm out in front of you, left arm back behind you, straight out. Reach the pinkies back, open up through the chest, and lower the shoulder tips away from the ears. Inhale, triangle pose, straighten out through that right knee, and then send your fingertips to reach as far forward as they can. Your torso reaches forward. And when you can't reach forward anymore, drop your right arm wherever it is. It can even just be hanging. And lift your left arm towards the sky. So left fingertips reach up. Inhale. And exhale, reach your left arm back to bring you back up. Extend your right arm out in front of you. And then bend into that right knee once again, Warrior 3. On your next inhale, pivot on that back right foot, coming into a high lunge again. And then exhale, bring both hands down by your right foot. Send that right foot back. Option to take a vinyasa here. So option to bring your knees on the ground or coming into a plank position, shifting forward. And then come all the way down onto the ground. This time we're going to do a little bit different. So bring your fingertips to the outside of your mat. And on your next inhale, elbows reach towards the sky as you are trying to lift your chest up, just your chest, pressing your hips into the ground. And exhale, come back down. Let's try that one more time. Elbows reach up. On the inhale, gently lift your chest. Maybe keep your chin tucked just slightly. Press your hips into the ground. And exhale back, forehead back down to the ground. Tuck your hands underneath your shoulders. Push yourself back up to a tabletop position. Tuck the toes under, and then lift your hips for downward facing dog. Pushing away from the mat, grounding down through all 10 knuckles, especially that pointer finger, knuckle, and thumb. Ears are by your biceps, knees are bent, and tailbone lifts up towards the sky. Ground down through that right foot, the right ball of the foot, and then lift the left leg up high to the sky this time. Inhale. And exhale to open up and start to maybe make some organic movement, maybe some knee circles with your knee, clockwise, and then counterclockwise. Maybe stacking your hips, just finding some movement and opening up, waking up that left outer hip or that left inner hip. And then once you're ready, return to stillness, point your left toes down. Hips are parallel to each other, heel reaches up. Inhale, and then exhale, knee to nose, knee to chest, and then drop that left foot in between your hands. Coming into runner's lunge, inhale, bring your hands onto your hips, and lift your torso off of your left thigh. High lunge, bring your arms up overhead. Inhale, and then exhale to pivot on that back foot, bringing the right foot parallel with the back of the mat. Maybe your toes point inward just slightly, and then the left toes still point towards the short side of the mat. Bend into that left knee, coming into a Warrior 3. Lift your arms up into a T. Left arm reaches forward. Right fingertips reach back. Pull your pinkies back. Maybe lift and broaden through the collarbones. Gaze forward through your left fingertips. Inhale. Stay strong here. Exhale, pull the shoulder tips away from the ears. Inhale. And then exhale to straighten out through that left knee, left leg, coming into a triangle pose. Once you're here, reach forward until you can't reach forward anymore with your left fingertips, and then drop the left hand to 6 and lift the right arm up to 12. So as if you were looking at a clock, 12 and 6, or just up and down, north and south. Try to pivot your chest forward and up. So opening up through your chest. One more inhale, and exhale. That right arm brings you back up. Bend into that left knee, coming into warrior three. Inhale, reach the crown of the head up towards the sky. Get long through the spine. And then exhale to pivot on that back foot, coming onto the ball of the foot, onto your tiptoes, and facing towards the front of the room. So hips are parallel now. Returning to a high lunge. Inhale and exhale. Plant your hands near your left foot. Step your left foot back. And then from here, option to take a vinyasa like we have been. So dropping your knees all the way to the ground. Or another variation that we can take is Chaturanga. So inhale, shift forward onto your toes or on your knees, and then lower halfway down, elbows graze your ribs. Flip onto the tops of your feet, and then lift your torso, lift your chest, coming into an up dog. Push away from the ground, squeeze your thighs. Your thighs are lifted off of the ground, push into the tops of your feet. Inhale, and then exhale to maybe come onto your knees, to flip to your curling the toes under, and then lifting your feet for downward facing, or lifting your hips for downward facing dog. Settle into your downward facing dog, or option to take a child's pose here. Sending the energy out through your heels towards the earth. Your lower belly maybe reaches towards your upper thigh, lifting your tailbone even higher. Push away from the mat with your hands, maybe coming into a gentle cat pose with your upper back. So maybe tucking your chin just a little, but keeping your ears in between your arms, maybe by your biceps. One more inhale here. And then exhale to slowly tiptoe your feet to meet the backs of your hands. Coming into a forward fold. This time, bring your feet out wider than hip width apart and have your toes point out maybe 45 degrees or towards the corners of your mat. Coming into a sort of wide-legged forward fold here. Bend your knees, and then bend your knees and maybe keep your fingertips onto the ground or wherever you can reach them. If you have a water bottle, if you have blocks, that works too. Inhale to maybe halfway lift, bringing your hands onto your shins, your thighs, or maybe keeping them on the floor. Tuck your chin, and then exhale to fold back over. As you fold, start to bend into your knees, coming into a squat pose, sitting into an imaginary chair. And then keep getting lower as slow as you can. Even if you get here, that's great. Go until your body can kind of take it. So don't force it, but keep going. It's totally fine to also lift your heels here. We're coming into Malasana, Garland Pose. So finding a gentle stretch through the inner hips. Again, heels are lifted, that's fine. If you're up a little bit too, that's fine. Wherever you are, this is your journey and you're exactly where you need to be. Option to bring the hands into Anjali Mudra, bringing the palms of the hands together and bringing them towards your heart space. Or option to leave your fingertips on the ground. Have your elbows nestle in between your knees, so on the inside of your knees and your legs, and push your knees into your elbows and push your elbows away out into your knees. So having some activation through this Malasana Garland Pose as well. Inhale, reach the crown of the head towards the sky. The most important thing here is to keep length through the back, through the spine. So making sure not to round. So wherever you round, just make sure that you return to that place before your back starts to round. But from here, reaching the crown of the head towards the sky, keeping that straight line of energy from the tailbone up through the crown of the head. Pull the shoulder tips down away from the ears to relax the shoulders. One more inhale. And exhale to bring your arms back behind you and sit your sits bones onto the ground. Extend both legs out directly in front of you and take a moment here to shake it out. Bend your knees here and then bring the right sole of the foot to the inner thigh of the left foot. Flex the left toes back and then coming into revolved head to knee pose, Janu Shirsasana. going to start to walk your fingertips forward towards your left foot, keeping length through the spine, tucking your chin to keep the back of the neck open too. Inhale, reach up through the crown of the head, and then exhale to start folding forward. Careful not to round through your back. Inhale, expand all four sides of your torso, sending that breath deep into the low belly, and exhale to fold just a little bit more. On the inhale, walk your hands back up, and you're going to open up your hips to the long side of the mat. So keep that right sole of the foot nestled in to your inner thigh area. And this time we're going to take a revolved head to knee pose, Padivrita, Janu, Shirsasana. So bringing that left elbow maybe to the mat, or another option is to bring that left hand to the right shin. First, get tall, grounding both sits bones into the mat, into the ground. Reach the crown of the head up towards the sky. And then on the inhale, lift your arm up above overhead, your right arm. And then on the exhale, take it over towards the front of the room, towards the front of the mat. Flex the left toes back like we were doing, and then maybe find a micro bend in that left knee. Rotate your heart space forward and then up. And then wherever you are here, just breathe. Inhale, expanding into that right side, stretching maybe that right side of your torso, breathing into your side ribs as if it were an accordion. And then exhale to maybe pull or fold a little deeper. On your next inhale, lift your right arm back up to the sky. Place it next to you behind your right hip, and then turn your hips towards the front of the room again, towards the front of the mat. Extend that right leg forward, and then bring that left leg onto the inner right thigh. Bend through that bend through that right knee just a little bit. Inhale to get tall through the spine. Tuck the chin just a little bit. Maybe lift your arms to help with this, and then exhale to fold forward. Tuck your chin here, keep your chin tucked, maybe flex both feet back, but keeping both sits bones grounded. Inhale, maybe you come out of it a little bit, expand your lower belly, and then exhale, maybe you fold into it a little bit more. If you're shaking, maybe come out of it just a little bit, bring your right heel back. Remember to respect your body and respect your process, your journey. Inhale, come back up, and then open up towards the left alongside of your mat. Keeping that left heel tucked in. Going to bring the right elbow on the inside of your right leg, and then reach up and over. Or another option is to bring your right hand to your left shin. Lift your arm up, inhale, get tall, crown of the head reaches up, and then exhale to reach up and over. Pull the left shoulder back just a little bit to help open up through the chest. So spin your heart space, your chest and collarbone space up and out, so maybe towards the sky eventually, reaching that left arm up and over. Breathing into that left side ribs. One more big inhale. And exhale, that left arm brings you back up. Bring your left arm back behind you. And then pivot your hips to face towards the front of the room. So bring your arm wherever it is. From here, option 2, just come into a cross-legged position, or to come into a Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. Bring the soles of your feet to touch and let your knees fall wide to either side, wherever they fall. So let gravity take over. Make sure both sits bones are grounded.